up, Mark?
I think this is the first time you and I have spoke.
Yeah, it's the first time we spoke live.
That's it. You ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, man. Whenever you're ready, man.
Sure. Have you seen one of these episodes before?
Yeah, a couple of them.
I appreciate that. You know how they roll then. I don't prep these things, man. Free-flowing, natural, good conversation. It's the best thing ever.
Absolutely. I think last one I did with James Gerlin with AMP Labs, that's pretty much what we did. We went into it, and he had a overall topic, and then we just went from there.
Groovy. Well, I'm looking forward to it, man. All right, I'm gonna get started then. Hi, good morning. My name is Mark. I'm Smeltzer. Welcome to Get Marked Up. This is episode 51, and I'm literally standing. I'm sitting. Well, you're sitting. I'm standing. I am here with, how do you say your last name? Dupre?
Dupre.
I said that earlier, and I was like, I should have said that. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing, Mark?
Oh, man, worst day of my life. No, just kidding.
Hey, man, if that's the worst day, man, then you're rocking and rolling, brother.
No, okay, so I want to know something about you that most people don't know about.
Something about me that most people don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't know that I've suffered a lot of post-traumatic stress disorder, major depression at one point in my life. From where I'm at this point in my life, most people are like, they don't see it. They don't even know that could possibly ever have existed in me because, I've shielded the world from that part of my life because wasn't a great part of my life, but that's something that most people just don't know. When they see me, they're around me, they see the energy. They're like, I could never imagine you being in that kind of state of mind. And I was like, well, let me tell you, it broke me to pieces for a purpose and reason, only to rebuild me better and bigger and stronger than I ever was. So that's something that most people don't know about me, and that's part of my drive and my mission of why me and you are even having this conversation.
Right. So because a thing that kicked out for me was state of mind. That's a big thing for me. What do you mean by state of mind of where you are at versus where you are today?
For the majority of my life, I was like, I would consider on autopilot. Like, I was kind of like doing societal norms, just like following the whole pack and just trying to fit in. And so my state of mind wasn't of a conscious state of mind of like bigger and better things in this world, to be more aware, more just, more cognizant thinking as an individual of the world that I was living in, and knowing that there was just a bigger picture and a lot of things out there. And so the state of mind that I was in, is like really one of conformity locked inside my own state of mind. I had to kind of like jailbreak out of that.
Sure. So what did you do? What were some of the steps that you did do and still do to this day that broke you out of that jailbreak mentality? Is it victim mentality you said too?
No, not victim mentality. I never really took it that way. I just, I was aware that I was in control of a lot of things. I just wasn't aware as much control as I actually knew I had about my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions, my reactions. So like, when you have a state of mind, different states of mind of your focus, your clarity, and understanding of cognizant thinking of like actions, reactions, and things like that. At a certain part of your life, you're programmed. You're programmed a certain way based on how you were raised.
Yeah.
So you're like a computer. A computer is designed exactly the way a human mind thinks. It's got a random access memory. You've got a hard drive. You've got a CPU. You've got all these. So a computer is designed exactly. So what's cool is when you use that analogy, you can start breaking things down to understand how the human mind thinks, reacts, and you have these programs. They're habits. So programs are habits, and you have programs that run in the background, and you have programs that run in the front ground. So you got a lot of stuff running in the background that's draining your batteries. It's slowing you down, but you don't know those programs are really active because they're in the background. So you yourself as an adult have to go into yourself and start deleting programs and replacing those programs or deleting them.
Where do you think those programs come from? Those background programs that are draining our battery?
Again, like what you see as a child, how you're raised, how you're taught, when you're what's considered your youth and your younger years of your life. Now, what happens is people can't get out of their own way because they keep making they become their own worst enemy because they're not cognizant that those things are running in the background and they don't see them, and people are like, I see, other people can see it, but you can't see it. So if you can't see it, how can you ever fix it?
That's right.
You absolutely cannot fix it. And so I had to do some self-analysis evaluation of like I have to change. I have to get out of my own way in life. And so I was like, you know what? I got to start training myself how to think differently, and nobody's going to do that for me or can do it for me.
That's right. 100%. I agree with that. And so I want to dig a little bit deeper into more of that story, more of who you were versus who you are today. Could you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I was married. For like 14 years. I had 2 beautiful daughters. I was living the American dream. Like when we talk about success, I was living the American dream, man. I had success. I had a company, multi-million-dollar company that I bootstrapped from ground zero. Like I figured out the patterns and how to be successful at business. I figured out how to be successful in the tangible aspects of life, but I was super lacking in spirituality, faith, peace, love, joy. Like those are sustaining. The other stuff can go up and come down based on things that you cannot control. You know, some things you can control, and then, you know, like look at the situation we're in right now where people absolutely can't control shit. Now, what you can control is your peace, love, and joy, because that's in you. You have absolute control over how you act and react to every single situation that occurs to you, based on you training yourself. So you go to work out, right? So you go to work out, or you go to the gun range and you practice and you practice and you practice. So you're going to get better at that skill or that workout or shooting the gun or whatever. Well, guess what? You can get better at how you act and react to circumstances in life so that you don't overreact. You can remain calm. Like, you know, Tom Brady is in the 4th quarter when all the pressure and the whole entire world's on him. His heartbeat probably doesn't go above 85 because he's trained himself mentally in his own state of mind to say, if I freak out, is that going to help me succeed in the 4th quarter? No. So he's trained himself mentally to prepare for that moment, that he doesn't know if it's going to happen or is going to happen. But if he trains for the worst and hopes for the best, he's preparing for a situation that hasn't come yet. And so a lot of people in life like meander through life, and they don't think all this bad, crazy shit that they hear about other people happen. They don't ever think that shit will ever happen to them. And when it does, they freak out because they haven't prepared for something that they didn't think was possible.
So it sounds like you still haven't shared your freak out with a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was something that was very traumatic to me, man. When I lost, like when my wife filed for divorce and I had to contemplate reality shifting to where I would never walk into my home and the same roof with my children. They're like two little girls. They're like 9 and they were 7 and 9 at the time. And I was like accepting that reality that I would never walk into my home ever again for the rest of this life that I have, in this only life that I know that I'll ever have. And to have to actually accept that was going to be a reality, losing my company, losing absolutely everything I had worked for since the day I was born, and the dream that I wanted to live out for the rest of my life, when that got destroyed and I had to face that reality, my computer crashed. I had my computer crashed. You know, when your computer crashes and you're like, holy crap, all the programs, all the stuff, you know, it just crashes. And so for me, for a human, it's not called a computer crash, it's called a mental breakdown. So it wrecked me into a place that I never prepared for. I never saw it coming. And so when it wrecked me like that, and I had to start from scratch. And so I was like, you know, I had to reprogram myself. You know, when you have a mental breakdown, sometimes 6 months to 3 years is what it might take you to recover from that, if you recover. You know, and so I had to reprogram myself and actually go in there and say, how much of this was my fault? Instead of blaming a bunch of other people, I had to actually look at myself. And there was it's a 3 steps that I had to kind of do. I had to look in the mirror, and I had to reveal all my problems and all my faults, and like what I had contributed to my choices in life that potentially escalated everything into this pinnacle point of my life, because it's my life. So I can't shed myself for the responsibility of the choices that I also contributed, made to, and how I reacted to the situation. I could have reacted much differently to the situation, where it probably would have prevented all that from happening. But at the time, I didn't know what I know now. So
it sounds like at the time you think that you had a choice. You just didn't know that you had the choice.
Absolutely. I was absolutely blindsided by something that I was completely unprepared for. And it was the biggest battle and struggle that I will ever have in my entire lifetime, ever. And it drove me to one place that I hadn't fully discovered. And that was my faith. That was my faith. And faith is such a weird thing for so many people. As faith is spirituality. It's this other part of you, this other being, the universe, God, like why, like all wrapped into like one thing. It's your faith and believing in something that you've never seen or you don't understand, and having faith in that.
It sounds like belief in that moment. It sounds like you were going to say, it took me to a dark place rather than a place of faith. And sometimes that can be the exact same place.
Yeah,
faith can be a very dark place for a lot of people.
Yeah, because it's scary and it's an unknown, so it's a fear.
That's right.
So basically, this is all going to boil back down to overcoming fear, and how you can overcome the biggest fears in your life, so that you no longer have to live in fear. If you can conquer your biggest fear in life, then you can conquer your smallest fears in life.
And so in that moment, when you talk about fear, what was it that you were truly afraid of?
I was afraid of just completely losing myself, like losing my mind, losing control of myself, where either I had to be like completely drugged up or sedated or whatever, to where I didn't know was reality or was not reality, because the whole situation, Mark, I felt like I was literally like on like a punk TV show. I was like, these scenarios of these things happening and happening. I was like, some camera's going to jump out somewhere and they're going to be like, hey, oh no, stop, time out. Like, this isn't really reality. We were just punking you. And like this, I was like, cause the series of events, which is a whole book and a story of its own. If I went into it, it's a movie of epic proportions. If I actually had to write it out, people wouldn't even believe it. And so if people wouldn't even believe it, and I'm telling you this, damn near I couldn't believe this series of events were taking place that were just crazy. It was like living in a movie that I honestly could not control. And I was like, what the hell's happening? And to a point where, like I said, point of submission or breakdown, and it became a whole reset. And so at that moment, I had two decisions. I could stop fighting. I could give up and probably live on the streets in a tent, and just give up on life because I had lost everything that meant anything absolutely to me. Or I could find hope in something, in a better life, in a better situation that hadn't come to fruition yet, that I could project in my mind to try to make that the light at the end of the tunnel of the hope, and start like army crawling my ass towards that light.
I love that. Sounds like it happened for you, taught you something that now you're incredibly grateful for where you're at.
No, everything in life, you can go as a victim. If you want to take the victim mentality, things happen to you. If you want to take the other approach, things happen for you.
The hero mentality. As in choice. You had the decision. You had the choice. It happened for you, and you made the decision to make it work for you.
Exactly. So I dug down and found what I love the most in this world.
What's that?
What's
that, Eric? What do you love the most in this world?
My two daughters. So I go, you know what? What kind of example would I be if I give up and I lay down and become a piece of shit? Or I could fight like hell and battle through whatever the hell comes at me and rip through those walls, rip through those situations, that mental anguish, the pain, the hurt, anything you can think of, just like you would in some kind of great grand movie that everybody loves the ending where the guy fights like hell. I was like, which one would I want my parents to do for me? So I said, screw it. I'm gonna fight till they put me in the ground. I'm gonna fight like hell till they put me in the ground, because I have two little girls that look up to me as dad, which is the highest title of dad, father, that a human being can like possibly get, higher than a king, higher than anything you can possibly imagine. When you're a parent of two beautiful human beings, and you have to be that example, because if I'm that example and I lay down, then what will they probably do as the example when they hit hard times in their life?
It's a great question. That's a great question.
So when I asked myself that question, I was like, hell no, I'm not. I played team sports my whole life. I played football up until my senior year in high school, and I was always the smallest dude on the team. But you can ask every guy on the football team, I was probably the scrappiest dude on the team. Like you might kick my ass, but at the end of the day, you're going to know you got in a nasty fight.
Well, I'll tell you what, I want to move forward to, sorry, go ahead.
No. I mean, it's just, it's a fighting spirit mentality that I've had since I was little, because I've had to overcome by being small in areas where it's like, hell, I should have been playing tennis, not football.
That's funny. Well, you're not small anymore, man. You seem like a pretty cool dude. You seem like you get hit on straight now, and it sounds like you're on your way. Which, speaking of which, what are you up to nowadays? What are you doing? What are you solving?
I work in an industry of infrastructure, and we designed a product that will solve like major environmental problems and issues with the product that I helped design. And so that product is being launched. It's doing its thing or whatever. And so I've kind of I've got it set up with commissions and royalties or whatever, so that I can kind of like, I've done my part of getting it approved by big major cities like City of Houston and stuff like that. So I've kind of done that in the industrial, work aspect of the world. But now the purpose, the mission of
that's what I was talking about. The external, your job is different from what you're actually up to.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I've had to kind of like compartmentalize the job work aspect, kind of put that aside to really find what I love and what I can contribute back to other people through my experience, so that I can basically give back. So I wrote the Lost Art of Faith. I wrote that book about a year ago, and it's like about my journey, and from when I was born up into the point where I broke. That's what the half the book is about. And the next half of the book is all the processes by which I had to reveal, heal, and then rebuild. And so through those processes, I break different chapters down of a lot of different areas that people struggle in life. And each chapter breaks down these compartmentalized groups and areas to where I share all the secrets of what I learned through all the inner discovery, the outer discovery of the world, faith, and like putting it all holistically together, so it's all cohesive as part of the foundation, the fabric.
You said holistically together.
Yeah, all collectively together, because they're all one big connected dots, and they're all connected. The universe is connected, man.
Oh, I agree 100%. I feel that. Have you ever noticed that sometimes if you're feeling a certain way, and you just realize that, oh, this is happening for me. I'm supposed to be learning something from this in this moment. And I know that I can choose to not feel this way in this moment. That's
right. Yeah. It's choice. It's like, in the Bible, biblically, you'll see scriptures it'll discuss, like with God, it gives you free will. And, that free will is tricky, man. It's like you designed us, and you're God, and you designed the perfect creation, and then you gave us free will, and, and then just kind of like set us loose to kind of like bounce off of each other and do all these crazy things. And it's such a big, I don't know how to even describe it. It's just such a weird thought or process of like, if you had that kind of power, how could you make these perfect, imperfect, humans? But that's the beauty. That's the true beauty of life, is this free will, this free spirit, choices. And I've broken this down to where I've really analyzed it to a point where I feel like I can answer a lot of those big questions of why. And I mean, it's no one human being, every human being that's ever been created, there's not one single human being that is identical to the other.
That may be. I don't know. I'm not going to claim that.
I can claim that.
That's fine.
Claim that. And I will. I like based on my analysis and observation over many, many years, and seeing what I've seen, even identical twins, man. I mean, there's something, they don't do the exact same thing. It's impossible. So
sure.
I like trying to use science along with faith.
I actually had a thought a few years ago of, do you ever wonder if science and religion would, cross paths?
They have to. They come from the same place.
Which is a great point, because I had a thought the other, I think a week ago, and some people, when they hear this question, they freak out.
Yeah.
And it will take me a little winded question. So if you allow me to do so.
Yeah, go for it.
You know how some people say that, well, the Big Bang couldn't have happened because you can't have something from nothing. Who created God? If you can't have something from nothing, how is it that he could just exist?
Yeah. So here's a beautiful answer to that, man. When you think of God, and humans on planet Earth think of God, we think with human minds that don't have the capacity. We do not have the capacity of actually fathoming those kind of things, because we're bound by things that a God that had that kind of power is actually not bound by those same rules, laws, and principles. So time, space, and matter. The God that could actually do something like that, he wouldn't be bound by time, space, or matter.
So you're saying he could be something and nothing at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, at the big, in the Bible, it talks about the Alpha and the Omega, which is the beginning and the ending. So the beginning and the ending,
timeless.
Yeah, because forwards, backwards, upwards, downwards, all that stuff. We in this reality that we're living in, bound by these rules, laws, limits, and limitations, we're bound inside those things. But outside of that, somewhere else, I mean, we know black holes exist. We know that. We know scientifically that black holes exist. And so if we know that, we can prove that through science, and black holes exist, then we know that time, space, and matter can actually change somewhere else and go into some different places. Now, people of faith, so we're talking about science and faith. Now, people of faith will tell you there's a spiritual realm, okay?
like a non-local, something that just is.
Yeah, something you can't see, but you can feel, and you possibly even believe, but you can almost feel the effects of that place or space or whatever you want to call it. And a lot of people that are very heavy into religion would tell you there's a spiritual realm. I mean, I believe there's a spiritual realm, and I also believe there's black holes. and a lot of times we talk about certain things. I think we're talking about the same thing, whether it be science or faith, but we're giving them different names.
That's right. 100%. Yes. I agree with that.
It's 100% right. It's 100% right, because how does somebody give something a name of something which they've never seen? How do you know that's the correct name?
Like why would we? What if Big Bang is God? Like, what if,
Well, I'm glad that you brought up the theory of the Big Bang, because it's something I've considered big time, because I think God possibly exploded a piece of himself into so many pieces that, because he's called an omnipresent God, where he is all things. So my
mind just went really dirty there for a second there. So let me sit and revel in that moment of when you say God exploded. Just let me.
I get it. Hey, he breathed life.
Sure.
And man, hey, listen. I mean, hey.
It's just that comedian mind of mine just went somewhere.
No. Hey, you don't even know. I have the same shit. I have the same kind of thoughts and feelings about stuff too, because he says that God made man in his image. God made man in his image. So the image that you're having in your mind, why would that be different? Why would that be, like we were talking, I guess I was shooting you stuff about Dave Chappelle. His perspective from a different angle, but with a lot of facts and truth.
He's up
You're
here.
like, wow. Yeah,
everything else is down here, and he's viewing it from a perspective.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like you can make it funny, you can make it factual, you can make it all these things, but what it is, it still is. There's a lot of fact to what he's saying. So it's just kind of like if I take a bottle and you can only see what you can see from here, but I can see stuff over here. It doesn't mean it's not the same bottle. We're talking about the exact same thing. It's just a different perspective. So like if I ask you questions about the backside of this bottle, you couldn't tell me shit because you can't see it.
That's right. So go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I appreciate that. That's actually a piece that I have in my audiobook about, it's called Shut the Fuck Up. It just says like about shit you know nothing about. And I'm going to never claim that I know something about something. If somebody asks me like personally, like gets into my personal life, they'll be like, yeah, here's what I actually believe. But but publicly, I'm not going to claim certain things because I feel that would be ignorant or arrogant, of me to do so.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, about arrogance?
I think you have to maybe be careful about it if it's not coming from a place of experience, facts, something that you can articulate and support with a pretty good theory. Because I mean, here's the thing too. I mean, Einstein had theories before they could be proven, and he would share that with people, and they thought his ass was crazy. But then when he proved it, so you have to be wise. You have to be wise about that, about when you feel comfortable that you could share it, but you'd have to have something to support it. Like everything I'm telling you today, I won't really shoot anything out of my mouth unless I feel that through an experience, facts, and other things that I can, to a pretty high degree,
perspective,
support it.
Through your perspective and what you went through.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. And so an experience and your feelings and stuff like that, those are unique. Those are very unique to the individual. But at the same time, we actually, as humans, we all experience the same shit in a different way. That's
100%. I agree with that. No, I really do. And I appreciate you letting me expand on that and allowing you to expand on that too. I love talking about that stuff. I used to get so heated about those things when I was my character. I was an arrogant asshole. Still am.
Yeah. No, and see, in my formal life, I was too, man. Like I thought I knew all kinds of shit, and I didn't know shit because I hadn't experienced shit, and I really hadn't spent the time. But experience is awesome. Knowledge is awesome, but right now we're like in this knowledge overload without enough wisdom.
That's a great point.
It's a huge point because that's what we're in right now. We're being overloaded with too much information to be distracted by all kinds of shit, and there's not enough wisdom to decipher the bullshit.
So you feel that information is different than wisdom and knowledge?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it depends on what information you get or what you allow and what you think. So, garbage in, garbage out. Wisdom in, wisdom out.
Yeah, and it takes a long time in mentoring and the company you keep and different men and women that are very wise people around you, and you pausing sometimes before taking action or thinking something and seeking wise counsel and saying, hey, what do you think about this? And then shut the fuck up, like you said, and listen. God made you with 2 ears and 1 mouth. So what that kind of tells you sometimes is, wise man will actually say hardly few words, but when he says some words, you better listen.
I agree 100%.
I'm the opposite of that because the way I'm built, my DNA, my characteristics, I talk a lot, period. I love it because I love being engaged. I like exploring things. I like to know what people think, and I like to engage them to let them know what I think, to have comparisons so I can better understand the world that I live in other people. I like sharing that. I love sharing that naturally with people in learning, and the only way you can learn is through communication, but it has to be effective communication, and it has to be mutual.
Mutual communication, you feel that one person has to share, but the other person doesn't have to share? Do you think that's okay?
They don't have to. It's whatever they're comfortable with. But balance is always good.
That's a fair point.
I mean, because if
that's partially true.
I mean, I'm going to support everything I have. Will have a lot of truth to it and a lot of fact to it. Again, like I've worked around engineers my whole entire life. So when I've had to present anything, we have to remove assumptions completely out the door. So I'm geared by the industry I've worked in for years to be attacked, so that I'm attacked so much that I better not walk in there and give them a bunch of bullshit. I better have a whole bunch of facts and engineer and documents and all kinds of shit. So when I, you know, the old saying, don't bring a knife to a gunfight. That's me. So my gunfights are like when I, you know, engage with people about certain things and have conversations. People will read through whether or not you're bullshitting them or not, like pretty quick. If you want your character, your image, and all those things to be at a high level, man, you got to bring your A game and know your shit.
100%. I agree with that. Well, I'll tell you what, I wanted to discuss, I know you wanted to talk about aliens because it's kind of a fun little thing, but I kind of want to save that for another time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, aliens, it's awesome, man, because the word aliens is used in the Bible like I don't know how many times, man. Like, what's cool, I'll give you a quick snippet.
Okay.
Go download the Bible in like a PDF format, and then what's cool, once you have it in a PDF format, you can do Control F, and when you do Control F, you can find any words you want with Control F.
Yep.
And then you can find certain words in the Bible with those particular keywords, and it'll tell you how many times those words are used. So the word alien actually pops up in the Bible, which it's like foreign, like unknown. They don't know what it is.
Right.
And so there's like tons of like unknown foreign shit that pops up all the time. And I mean, hell, a man to see an angel descending down to him, which they talk about in the Bible, hell, that's an alien. I mean, if in modern day times, if I saw some shit flying out of the sky and it came down and swooped down and looked at me and started talking to me or doing anything, I'd be like, damn, I just saw an alien, you know. And it could be energy, you know. An angel could be energy, all these different forms like we were talking about. I think sometimes we're talking about the same thing, but people can give it a different description on their experience with that object.
That's right. 100%. Well, and like I said, I wanted to save some of that because I want to dig in super deep, but I want to keep this one just, you know, under 45 minutes, which is kind of what I was shooting for. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So what I'll say too is my faith, and it's not such much of branded religion, but Jesus Christ, God, the Bible, these things have all been cornerstones to help me have spiritual guidance. Like there's a lot of just in my book, I put at the back of the book, I put all these.
Did Mike Fallett do that book?
Mike did, yeah. Mike did his book.
I just interviewed him yesterday. Great.
Yeah, Mike. That's Mike's. Dude, Mike came up with this whole thing, and like when he showed it to me, I was like, man, because I tried to do some graphics myself, and he's like, no, those suck, and I was like, okay, so.
See, that's why you hire experts. Go watch Mike Fallett's interview, and we'll talk about why you hire people for audiobooks, why you hire people for books, all that stuff.
Well, what I was going to leave you with real quick is
go ahead.
The very ending of my book, of all the scriptures that I could leave in my book, the very last one I left the end of my book as a special thanks, and my reason behind fighting and writing the book and all that was to dedicate it to my daughters. But the last quote that I used was Mark 9:23, and it says, anything is possible if a person believes. Okay, so that's in the Bible, man. And there's so many one-liners of scripture like that in that book that if you just use those one-liners, I don't care if you don't believe in the religion and this, but those words and what it's telling you, they are massive pieces to the puzzle to help you connect so many freaking dots and give you inspiration and power and motivation to get through shit that, you know how much truth is in that one sentence?
That's the truth. If you believe it, it will happen.
So
true belief, though. But true belief, there's a difference.
And eventually, you have to believe in something. You have to choose something. By free will, you have to choose something to believe in. Even if you just believe in yourself, you're believing in something.
That's right. And why would you want to not believe in yourself?
I don't know. That's for the individual. That's for the individual to decide. But if you want to be successful in anything that Tony talks about, anything you talk about, anything I talk about, you better freaking find something to fucking believe in, or it's going to be a rough journey.
And then show people what you're up to. Talk about it and believe in it. Believe in it and then talk about it. I mean, I'm writing a piece right now called Jesus in Hollywood, and that explains exactly that.
Well, we need to talk about that, because I just talked to Tony about my it was called the Jesus business model.
You were telling me a little bit about that too. So,
and he was like, and I broke it down for him about how his structure, his construct to get out his message and get people engaged, how he went about doing his business and how effective it was. Now, it's pretty damn effective.
It's effective. We talked about this. 10% every Sunday, no taxes. That's amazing. Yeah. Eric, you've been a pleasure, man. You really have. I appreciate you and your time. Thank you so much for this.
All right, Mark, and likewise, man. It's like watching you and following you, and the energy and the vibe, man. It
sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sucks. So. All right,
hope
brother.
you have a great day, man. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, Mark. You take care, brother.
Take care. Good morning.